Stop beating yourself up over that.
Yeah.
That's going to happen.
Yeah. Aren't you a pastor? Tell me. Just saying. We'll call him a philanthropath. It's a psychopath disguised as a philanthropist.
Unfortunately, some members of the community use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Because that's how the mind works.
And some of the trees actually still have their leaves.
I used to ride my motorcycle throughout, Healdsburg and Santa Rosa after the fires hit, and I was like, this is not natural.
The perception of truth. Podcast.
I'm Vernon Roach,
And I'm Julianne Bryson.
and this is Perception of Truth Podcast. We're here again. And,
Here we are.
And we're back on the truth journey.
Yep.
So, a question I got to ask is, what drove you to leave California and move to the great state of Tennessee?
Oh my goodness. All right. Let me try to unpack it and condense it. I had been living in urban environments most of my life, grew up right outside San Francisco, moved to New York, came back after I had my kid, lived in San Francisco again. Then I moved to Oakland. And I got so sick of living in the city, so I ended up moving up to the country in California because I was literally like trying to figure out how to get out of the state. But my halfway point was like, well, let me just try one more thing. Let me try living in the country. And I absolutely loved it. I lived right across the street from the Russian River. It was amazing. I was there for 3 years, and then the wildfires came.
Wow. Yeah.
Mind you, I was like tired of dealing with earthquakes in California, in San Francisco. That's part of why I moved up to the country. But then I moved up to the country and was dealing with a different unnatural disaster, which is the wildfires.
But one thing I wanted to point out is there's almost no homes that can be seen left intact in this image, but there's plenty of trees that still look like they have their foliage on there. And then there's another image that this is probably one of the most widely circulated images from the Palisades. And again, it looks very reminiscent of, Sonoma, California, and Paradise, California, and even sections of Maui that also look like this, where the homes were completely leveled into a white dust, and some of the trees actually still have their leaves.
I used to ride my motorcycle throughout, Healdsburg and Santa Rosa after the fires hit, and I was like, this is not natural. This is not real. These are not real fire. These are not real wildfires. There's no way these are real. How does a tree burn from the inside out? How come most of the trees are still here, but the houses are gone? How come some of the houses are here? And then I started diving into the whole, EMP thing. And I was just like, this is too crazy. Like, I don't believe that this is a natural disaster. So that's when I started feeling like there's some evil stuff that goes on. And I was already very discouraged by the government in California. I think it's super dirty, super corrupt. Some of the most corrupt politicians in this country are California politicians. And I've known that for many years. So I was already looking to figure out how to get to Tennessee. Long story short, I had done a couple trade shows out here, and I totally fell in love with Nashville because I'm a music fiend and I love music. And I was like, I love Nashville. So I bought a house in East Nashville and I moved there. And then after I moved here is when I met you guys.
Yeah.
And that was the main reason for leaving. But then when I got here, a whole new world just opened up for me that I couldn't have had in California. Like, I couldn't own a lot with 3.3 acres in California because I could never afford it. But I could afford it here, We also wanted to be closer to the hemp growers, because we use CBD extracted from hemp for our products. I wanted to be in the thick of it, and that's all happening right around here, I got really tired of the cannabis industry in California. I think it went totally corrupt. We've talked about this on other episodes.
Yeah.
It's super corrupt. I just got tired of big government in my life so much. And I started looking before I even chose Tennessee. I realized that Tennessee actually has like the best property tax laws, has basically the best laws in general for everything that's important to me. So I feel much more a Tennessee girl than a California girl, believe it or not, at this point, just because I'm more aligned with everything that Tennessee has to offer. And I even like the politicians that run this state, believe it or not. I mean, for me to like a politician is kind of a stretch. So,
yeah, well, you're definitely a Tennessee girl, Julianne, that's for sure. That going back a little bit to that California thing with the wildfires. So do you think that that's like? Were you insinuating that that's like energy weapons?
yes.
Yeah, because that's the
100%.
that's the thing too. That when we had those that massive fire in Hawaii.
That's another one.
Like it was very, very similar of California.
Yeah.
And then you heard all the stuff about certain houses that the roofs were blue
Yes.
and they didn't get burned up.
Yeah.
So, I went down that rabbit hole big,
It's real. Mm-hmm. These are all places they want 15-minute cities. If you don't know about 15-minute cities, look it up. It's all documented. It's not hard to find, but you do have to know where to look. And it's all goes back to New World Order, Agenda 2030. They want to have us all confined to these 15-minute cities. They don't want us to own anything. They want us to be happy with that. And Maui was a future 15-minute city. Los Angeles, the fires in Los Angeles, the more recent fires, these floods, I think, are all man-made. And, I think it's another one of these truths that's hard to fathom, that these nefarious characters are actually controlling the weather. But that's actually been happening for like a long time.
And the fact is that geoengineering is real. It's something that the U.S. government has acknowledged for a long time. Solar radiation modification, stratospheric aerosol injection, marine cloud brightening, weather modification, cloud seeding. Some of this stuff has a history that's going back many decades.
Look up HAARP, HAARP. Look up Rainmaker. Look up these companies that do cloud seeding. Why was there cloud seeding in Texas 2 days before those floods? How did they get that much rain in such a short amount of time? That was not natural. There's nothing natural about that. And now there's there's floods happening in like multiple states right now. They're all man-made.
Yeah, the floods in Texas, and
you cannot tell me those are natural disasters. They are not natural disasters.
It's mind-blowing.
So,
back at one point during those fires in California, if you'll remember, you were out there and I was out there at the same time. I flew in out there to do some filming with some other musician friends of ours, the Good Old Boys. Shout out to the Good Old Boys. Mm-hmm. And in those videos that we filmed with them while we were out there, if you go to YouTube and watch those videos, it looks like a special effect, like we put a filter or something over the... And people even commented on that. Man, it's a beautiful filter on the sky. Well, it's because of the smoke like literally we flew in and we were surrounded by fires. Yeah. And we literally flew into the middle of that.
Yeah. I was there for my dad's memorial because he passed and it was during COVID, so we couldn't actually have a proper memorial for him. So when we finally did it, it was during that time. And that's when I realized that everybody I knew in California had lost their ever-loving mind. The mask to protect against COVID is a big sham. So you're focused on that, and then you're spending time outside, and you don't even have like a protection against this smoke and this disgusting air quality situation. And I was just like, wow, this is so weird.
We went through the same thing while we were there. We were in San Francisco, and we went to the Golden Gate Bridge. Yeah, well, we went to the Golden Gate Bridge and did all the stuff while we were there that we wanted, because we had a couple of days where we could drive around and see everything. So we went down to the wharf, and it was so strange. It was like being in a total other dimension. Mm-hmm. You'd be walking, and it was so divided. Yeah, like you'd be walking down the street, and I'll never forget it. We walked into this restaurant to go eat, and of course they looked at us, and of course looking the way we did, they were like, "Okay, here's some right wing conservatives right here. Your section's out here," and like they had a section outside because we weren't wearing a mask or nothing, and you literally had to go sit in this other section outside of the restaurant. And then you could go a block down the road and nobody cared. Like it was literally,
The virus doesn't, if you're standing up in a restaurant, that's when the virus gets you. But when you sit down, you can take your mask off because, the virus doesn't.
It doesn't mess with you when you're sitting down. There's some science for you. That's some
Trust the science.
That's right. Which mask does work.
Trust the science that, the researchers got paid a lot of money to write some BS study. research paper on,
Yeah, facts. It was just so strange being in that environment. Just so strange. It was surreal.
Yeah.
We were standing there, and we're and to see the division of all of that. And my mother passed also over the pandemic to lung cancer. And yeah, and if it wasn't, thank you. And if it wasn't for my sister being in the medical field, and I wouldn't have been able to see her before she passed. And we still haven't had a proper memorial for that. It just never happened. And it's sad. So many other people had to deal with that. And a lot of people didn't get to see their loved ones.
Yeah, it was really crazy actually when my dad fell and he had basically a brain injury and that's what killed him. It was right at the beginning of COVID. So when he was in the hospital, he was, basically comatose for a few days. And in the first part of that period, we were all able to be near him and spend time. And I did not leave his side. I just wanted to spend every moment with him that I could. Well, just a couple days later, that's when all these COVID restrictions for people visiting people in hospitals started happening. And all of a sudden they just were like, nope, you can't go see. But I already felt pretty satisfied that I had had that time with him. But some of my other family members were really upset by that because they didn't spend as much time. And they were like, oh my God, I didn't even get any more time to spend with him. And then he was gone. It was it was horrible. But the whole debacle around how the hospitals dealt with everything and how much money they were making to diagnose people with COVID when they actually didn't have it. I mean, what kind of sick stuff was going on where these hospitals are incentivized to actually put a vent on somebody and knowing it wasn't going to help them. And then they had never let them have ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine. They were suppressing the efficacy of all these fantastic pharmaceutical drugs that have been around forever. People use them all over the world for so many different things. And then suddenly, that's when I knew it was a big hoax. When they started suppressing ivermectin, that's when I knew. I said, this is a big, big, fat lie because, they had to suppress that in order to roll out the vaccine because you can't have emergency use authorization on a vaccine if there's a drug that's on the market that works for that particular disease. And there was actually more than one drug on the market at the time. It was more than just ivermectin. It was chlorine dioxide. It was, monoclonal antibodies.
Yep.
It was hydroxychloroquine. And funnily enough, all of these same drugs are good for parasites. They're good for cancer. They're good for all these different things that big pharma doesn't want us to know about. They'd rather give us a vaccine for it because a vaccine they can give to the whole population. But if you fix your problem with these drugs that have been on the market forever and that are really efficacious, then they can't give an emergency use authorization on a vaccine. So, they tried to do this same nonsense again with the bird flu. And I think society was like, no,
not this time.
So that's why they started doing the weather warfare thing.
Lots
they're
come
going
out.
to just depopulate no matter which way they can. It's not going to be just one weapon that they use. They're going to weaponize everything they can. So they weaponize the weather. They weaponize big pharma. They weaponize many other things in order to carry out that goal. So you asked me why I left California, and I just gave you a whole bunch of other information. But to be honest, I actually had to leave California to see it for what it was. Because when you're stuck in that indoctrination, and it's so heavy, and it's so, it's just so bizarre to be in a place, like you were saying, to be there. It is surreal. To be around all that cognitive dissonance where people are just so happy to accept this BS narrative from their government and never question it. I'm sorry. That's just not me.
No, I don't think that you were alone. I think there's been an exodus of that from California, and a lot of people have moved to other places, Tennessee, Texas. A lot of major corporations and businesses, the only ones that are really still there are the ones that can't afford to move.
Yeah.
And they're stuck.
Yeah.
And it's obvious now, this time has passed since COVID. that all of this stuff is coming out now that substantiates all of the things that people were calling people crazy about, trying to persecute them about, and everything else. And you know, one of the things you touched on, which fascinates me always, is the ruling that this is COVID pays more money. And it goes back to that same infrastructure that we keep talking about, where here, let's create a problem and then create the solution to the problem.
The alien dialectic.
So when you get that, there's you're going to have all these side effects from it. But guess what? We got stuff for that too.
Yeah.
So now you're dependent upon it. The longer they can draw off you, you know, and give you these medical needs,
Yeah.
it becomes a huge profit center
Exactly.
on your life.
Why'd they give away the COVID vaccine for free? Why'd they give out free donuts and French fries? People got the vaccine because they knew they were going to make up for it on the back end when all these people got sick with chronic diseases that they now have that they wouldn't have had if they didn't take that clot
Yes.
shot, and all the different conditions that are emerging from having had that clot shot. I mean, just look at how much, you know, all the different diseases have gone up. Besides just the turbo cancers, you know, you got the heart conditions, the strokes,
Myocarditis.
yeah, myocarditis, and then there's just a host of different things. And it seems to be that the vaccine would go in and literally take whatever a person's weakness was, and it would target that. I mean,
Definitely seemed that way. Yeah.
every single neighbor on this side of our house right here, okay? It's crazy. We were just talking about it yesterday. Each one of the people in these houses right here has a vaccine injury.
Well, I mean, I've got a whole side of my family that once they got vaccinated, it seems like they've been sick ever since.
This poor guy over here, I'm not going to name any names, but was this close to retirement, and they made him get the vax, and he just got his second lung transplant because his whole system
Shutting down.
fell apart after, and he knows it's from the vaccine. He knows it. Will he ever have any compensation for it? Doubtful. Why?
No.
Because the pharmaceutical industry has it. They have it written into law. They cannot be sued for vaccine injuries. So, I mean,
Why would you write that into law? You know, you see,
Yeah.
now we're really getting down to the brass tacks. Like,
Yeah.
Like, why would you, you know, it's just like all those pardons
Yeah.
that went out.
Yeah.
You know, like, and then the questions, you hear a little bit about it, and then the media goes away from it. That's why
Yeah.
it's important to have podcasts like this where
Yeah.
we talk about it, because the things, in my opinion, those people need to be held accountable
Yeah.
in one shape or form. If that is the facts, if you did this coup
Yeah.
on this level to the American people, you deserve to pay the price for it.
That's right.
That's treason
Yep.
on the highest level.
It sure is.
You know, if you're out here giving poison to the populace, you need to be held accountable for that.
They will be.
That's murder and attempted murder.
Yeah. I think their days are numbered. I think that time is coming, and I'm praying on it. I think
too.
it has to happen. You know, God is the God of justice. He will always judge when necessary. It's going to be on his timing, and we have no idea what his timing is.
I love that you said that, because for everybody listening, don't seek revenge. Let
No.
God do it.
Yeah. The revenge is all his. He does a better job at it anyway.
That's right. That's right. The devil wants you to pursue that,
Yeah.
you know.
That's
so,
true.
You know, don't do it.
You don't need to. God's got this.
Amen.
In a world where our furry friends are more than just pets, they're family. Introducing Treatables, the original and trusted CBD brand dedicated to bringing harmony to the whole family. At Treatables, we understand that your pet's well-being is paramount. That's why we offer a range of products designed to enhance their quality of life. From our delicious soft and hard chewables to our convenient oil droppers and soothing transdermal cream, Treatables provides a comprehensive solution for your pet's needs. Our unique 5-in-1 health benefits address a variety of common pet concerns, including anxiety, skin issues, gut health, and joint health. With Treatables, you can trust that you're giving your pet the best possible care, backed by years of experience and research. Experience harmony for the whole family with Treatables, because when your pet thrives, so does your family. Treatables, where love meets wellness.
During the whole pandemic, it changed the face of the world forever.
Yeah.
You know, when it pushed people to have to stay in their homes, and they were even now saying it, it's just it really shocks me even still. Like for small business owners, hey, you can't go run your business. We're not going to give you any money or nothing, but you got to stay home to protect everybody else. And it hurts so many businesses.
Yeah.
And we saw it in real time. We watched it. We were lucky enough to be lucrative and hustle enough to overcome it, but so many people did not. And they lost everything. They lost everything because they couldn't go to work. They couldn't provide for their families. And nobody talks about that anymore, but we're going to talk about it on this podcast.
Well, again, like everything else we talk about on this podcast, it's all New World Order, Agenda 2030. They want to destroy the middle class, and they did a great job of it during the pandemic, making everybody stay home, closing down businesses like gyms and small mom and pop stores, but keeping the liquor stores open, keeping Walmart open.
Starbucks.
Yeah. Like, how come, who decided what was essential and what wasn't essential?
Exactly.
And it was so funny too, because you had this huge increase in people roller skating again. I love to skate.
Yeah.
Well, the skating rinks were staying open during COVID, but they closed down the gyms. So a lot of people that wanted to work out, they started skating again. Now you've got this huge skate culture. That was like one of the silver linings of the pandemic. It was one of the only good things that happened. But
I love that because I don't want it to all be, because I strongly believe, and this goes back to my faith too. I strongly believe that in every tragedy there is a silver lining. There's something to take out of it that is really meant for you.
Yeah.
And that's one of them, right?
Yeah.
So.
And just us as a business, luckily Treatables had a strong e-commerce business already. And we always have a lot of red tape to deal with, from the government. And it's because they're tied in with Big Pharma and they don't want CBD companies to be as successful as we could be. We're still dealing with it. 17 years later, still dealing with all the BS, and the red tape and everything. But during COVID, it was just such a joke because I could see a lot of our retail store customers were struggling big time, and a lot of them actually went out of business.
Yeah.
And I think the whole, this perpetrated war against brick and mortar stores, I think actually started before COVID, but then COVID was like the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
And it was just sad to watch. And a lot of our great customers that we would sell to stores, they just didn't do well. But then all the big chain stores did fine because they weren't forced to close. It was
right.
Wait a second, how come I can go to Walmart but I can't go to the mom and pop pet store? How come I can go to Petco but I can't go to this little mom and pop pet store down
Tommy's
the road?
Pet Shop. Yeah.
And it was a travesty, really.
It was super strange and odd, and I still don't understand all of it. And what I do understand is how it changed everything. It made people remote, because up to that point there wasn't any remote stuff like that. That became the normal. In my household at the time, my wife was a teacher, my son was going to school, and we would all three be in separate rooms during the day on Zooms working in the same household, but just in different rooms on a computer screen. And the stuff that came along with that, which we should have her on here and talk about being a teacher in that time frame, because she was compromised in a lot of ways. She was they tried to strong arm her.
Yep.
They were paying the teachers to get the vaccine.
Yeah.
And if you didn't get it, you would be kind of ostracized from the group or the club, and that's just ridiculous to be able to not only impose that kind of a rule over somebody, but take their whole career and everything else, put that up here like a bartering tool, and that's extortion. That's extortion.
It is extortion, especially on an experimental medical procedure. It's insanity. And the way they force so many people into it, for fear of losing their job. That right there tells you there's some sick agenda behind this.
Yeah. One of the other silver linings, though, that I can add to that is art and music and things like that. Because we were somewhere the other day and this song came on and I immediately thought about the pandemic. It was one of those TikTok songs, and it was I think it's Jason Derulo, that song, but Savage Love, that one. Every time I hear that song, it takes me directly back to the pandemic,
And what happened to musicians during that time was so messed up. That I saw in real time living in Nashville. I was just like, wow, because all my friends that were, all these talented musicians, they couldn't tour anymore. They couldn't play out. And I mean, sadly, a lot of them were like the first ones to go get the jab because they're like, I just want to get back out there, and it's like, dang.
And then they started getting sick. There were big time musicians that did that got sick after that and had problems.
Yeah, look at Eric Clapton.
Yeah.
And I went and had the jab. Within several hours, I was shaking like a leaf. And I went to bed early and I couldn't get warm. And I thought, am I running a fever? I was boiling hot and sweating, and then I was cold. I was out for the count for about a week. I probably shouldn't have had the first jab, but then I was offered the second. And I thought, well, what's the point in, stopping now? So I went and had the second, and then it got really bad. To touch the guitar, to play the guitar is not fun, and it's something I do, then when I put it down, it's there until I go to bed, and I take sleeping pills because I can't sleep because of the pain, and it's not a good way to live.
Yeah. He can hardly move his hands anymore. I mean, what happened to him, and then how the whole industry came down on him was so messed up. When I hear him speak about what he's been through, it makes me very sad. The music industry was always I've always looked at it like it's the anti-establishment, population of that we have, to turn to be like, what are you guys going to do? And they were all like, yeah, come on, give me the shot. I'm good. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You guys are supposed to be fighting this stuff.
Yeah.
You're musicians, I mean, come on.
Yeah. People like Neil Young. Keep on rocking in a free world. Neil, what are you talking about now?
He's bought.
You're trying to force people to follow the government.
Yeah. There was a lot of artists that, were working for the enemy during that time. And I got no respect for them. Won't buy any of their music. Got nothing good to say about them. So I don't say nothing at all.
Exactly. Even for us as Twang and Round, during that time frame, this is why I love God, because we had already planned to take off touring in that time frame. So it didn't affect us the way it did a lot of our friends that were totally dependent upon the touring revenue to support their families. And we watch people go through a lot of hardships in the music industry because of that, not being able to go out and have concerts. And if you did, you're going to be ridiculed and even face, criminal persecution over it.
Yeah, well, what about the bands that were like, you're not getting into our show unless you show vaccine proof?
Yeah.
Oh,
man.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah. I guess if that's...
I lost respect for all of those people. Give me a break.
Yeah.
That was really bad.
Yeah. If you want to be a sheep, go ahead. It's not for me. I'll never be compromised in that fashion ever. On a personal level, mainly because of my faith in God. Nothing's going, any weapon formed against me won't prosper anyway. And I just, when those kind of people do that, it's shocking. And you hear artists, actors, actresses losing all of this following and losing everything because they followed the agendas, the narratives, and it's obvious that they were probably paid to do so.
Yep.
Massive actors that were, and they tried to do that in this last election.
Yep.
And it did not work because people were so sick and tired of that dog and pony show that was going on. It was so cringe. That was the most cringe I'd ever seen politics in my life.
I know.
In my life.
Yeah, you got billionaire superstars talking about, we got to be against the billionaires. What?
What don't make sense? Yeah. And musicians showing up to events and they're not even singing.
Yeah.
They just come there to say, hey, I support this, and then leave.
Yeah. How much did Beyonce get paid to actually not sing?
Right.
Kamala.
It was a
Rally.
staggering amount of money. It was $1 million,
Yeah.
maybe something crazy like that.
But that's what's so interesting about Trump is like he's actually got like some famous people that just love him for what he's doing and what he's about to do. You know, look at Kid Rock.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's exciting to hear about some of the new developments that are happening for musicians. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I'm glad that y'all are getting some better royalties coming up here soon.
Well, listen, it's been a long time coming. I was lucky enough to be in that Lars Ulrich era of transitioning, you know, back in that day. Yeah. When Lars is on TV, like cussing, like, F you guys, you know, you're stealing everything from us. He wasn't lying.
He wasn't
lying, you know, and at that time in our music careers, Twang and Realm, you know, we were banking on having our CDs in department stores.
Right.
And when as soon as we got our record deal, that started getting smaller and smaller till it was non-existent anymore. Then it went right into the streaming. I'm going to tell you, for the first 3.5 years, we starved.
Oh, no.
There was no money. There was no money. The streaming companies were making every bit of the money. And up until now, with the stuff that's going on with the legislature now, it's still been that way. It's gotten better every year. You get a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, but if you go and look at all this is public knowledge too, and it was just in the news recently. National news is they had Spotify. They called them to Congress and questioned them on a bunch of stuff. Go look all this stuff up.
Yeah.
And the millions of dollars they were taking from artists that didn't hit a certain threshold, so they didn't get paid, but Spotify's getting paid. You know, because they're using, and this goes on larger levels, you know, all the way up, you know, and the pay scale should always be more toward the artist, or at least let's get to a better range.
Yeah.
I'll take whatever I can get.
Yeah.
You know, and at this point, because we're really at the mercy of that being regulated the right way.
Wow. Whew. It just sounds like another dirty streak in our history of mankind. It's just the cabal can't just destroy everything fast enough and get theirs. You know, it just makes me sick.
Yeah, I think that they're playing that chess game. You know, I think that it's they still have to a certain extent, put on the guise of that wolf in sheep's clothing, and they have to act like, hey, we're going to help you. Because I think that they get the tables to a certain point, and they realize, man, we went a little bit far, so let's get back the other way. And then they do that by design, knowing that the next step's going to be to go the other way again.
Yep.
Which is my whole life, what I've experienced my whole life.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to war again.
Yeah.
We're in the Middle East again. How many times have we went through that? You know, like. You know, and then if you're up to your Bible reading, you know, wars and rumors of wars, that sounds very familiar. You know, that's happened my whole lifetime. You know, so, you know, I'm ready for big change, and I'm ready for people to get enlightened, and I'm ready for us to get enlightened on this podcast. Once again, I'm going to say this time and time again. I'm going to keep drawing it back. Is I challenge anybody listening, to come on the show with us.
Yeah.
And explain your side of it. If you don't agree with the podcast and the content that we're talking about, by all means, come enlighten me. I want to hear about it. I want to know.
I mean, we truly do want to know the truth, and you know, when you dig and do all the research that we do, hey, we don't know everything.
No.
But if there's something that I don't know, I want to hear about it.
Yes.
You know, put it in the comments. You know.
Yes.
Underneath. You know, the description box and everything. But yeah, we're open.
The Perception of Truth Podcast.
Wire up.
Y'all ain't done yet. Dang, you said you'd be done hours ago. I don't understand this. Y'all really stressing me out.
Ma'am, will you try one of these? This is a mango gummy. This here will calm your nerves. All you have to do is just
I hope
try
so,
one.
because I worked hard last night. Y'all making all this fuss. Let me try one of these. What you said it is? Oh,
Mango.
shoot. They look good, too. They better work.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, if it
They
don't, I'm
will.
coming back out here and I'm getting on all y'all.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
A few moments later.
Oh, I'm starting to feel real good. That's some good stuff y'all just gave me there. Y'all doing a fabulous job. Do y'all want some iced tea or anything?
Yeah.
Yeah, what was the name of that stuff you had?
Auntie Dolores. You said to get that.
All right, I'm gonna get some of that. Tell my friends and
Auntie
family.
Dolores.
All right.
Yeah, you. I tell you, that mango, it'll make you go.
Yes, sir. I'm so happy. Y'all doing a fabulous job. Thank y'all.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, now y'all keep on going, doing what you do.
Yes, ma'am.